My dear students, welcome once again to the online class arranged by Nawab Faizunnisa Government College, Laksham, Kumilla. This is Muhammad Salim Shikdar, Assistant Professor, Department of English. My dear boys and girls, how are you? I hope you are safe and sound at home. In the previous class, we discussed a poem by William Wordsworth. Today, I am going to discuss another poem written by Donne. The poem that I am going to discuss today is a metaphysical poem. Metaphysical poem is a school of poetry, and the founder of this school is John Donne. Before going to discuss the poem, I want to discuss the characteristics of metaphysical poetry. Metaphysical means science of abstract concepts. Science of abstract concepts. That means metaphysical poetry deals with abstract ideas. Meta means beyond. Physic means science of concrete things. Science of concrete things. That means metaphysical means beyond the science of concrete things. That means metaphysical poetry deals with such ideas which doesn't have any physical existence, which doesn't have any physical existence. That is why this kind of poems deal with love, faith, God, soul, death, religion, etc. What are the characteristics of metaphysical poetry? Number one, abrupt beginning. That means sudden beginning. A metaphysical poem always starts abruptly, suddenly, without any information about the past incidents. Number two, metaphysical poetry is dramatical. Dramatical, there is a conversational tone all through the poems. That means there must be a dialogue. There must be a dialogue. Number three, metaphysical poetry used argument and logic instead of emotion or passion. Metaphysical poetry uses argument and logic instead of passion and emotion. That means argumentative expressions of emotions. Argumentative expressions of emotions. That means to show passion, to reveal emotion, a metaphysical poet always use argument and logic. Always use argument and logic. Another characteristic of metaphysical poetry is the excessive use of metaphysical conceit. The excessive use of metaphysical conceit. Now, question arises, what is a metaphysical conceit? Metaphysical conceit is a comparison between two far-fetched ideas. Between two far-fetched ideas, Dr. Samuel Johnson, a well-known critic of English literature, tells us that defines metaphysical conceit as heterogeneous ideas yoked by violence together. Heterogeneous ideas yoked by violence together. That means a comparison between two dissimilar, far-fetched dissimilar things. That is why Samuel Johnson criticized such type of concepts. But this is a very common quality of metaphysical poetry. The next characteristic of metaphysical poetry is use of hyperbole. Use of hyperbole. There is hyperbole means exaggeration. Hyperbole means exaggeration. Metaphysical poets use hyperboles frequently in their poems. So I want to summarize the characteristics of metaphysical poems. Number 1, abrupt beginning. Number 2, argumentative expression of emotion. Number 3, conversational or dramatic quality. Number 4, excessive use of metaphysical conceit and wit. Number 5, use of archaic word. Archaic word means the words that is not used in general conversation, but only in the poems. This type of words are called archaic words. Another characteristics of metaphysical poetry is to use colloquial language. Colloquial language. So, before going to study metaphysical poetry, we have to know all those qualities, all those characteristics of metaphysical poetry. Metaphysical, the very word metaphysical comes from John Dryden, a well-known poet of English literature. John Dryden, he first used this word, Donne affects the metaphysics. The very sentence he uttered, Donne affects the metaphysics. And then Samuel Johnson derogatively called Donne and his followers metaphysical poets. That means metaphysical poems were not very popular in those days, but in modern times, after the criticism of T.S. Eliot, metaphysical poets have become very popular among us. John Donne, previously I told you that John Donne is the founder of metaphysical school of poetry. There are some other metaphysical poets in English literature, Andrew Marvell, George Herbert, Henry Vaughan, Richard Crashaw, and Abraham Cooley. They are also metaphysical poets in English literature. So my dear boys and girls, I think you have got some ideas about metaphysical poetry. So today the poem that I am going to discuss is The Good Morrow. The Good Morrow, that means the good morning. Morrow is the short form of morning. This is morrow. Morrow. I think this is an archaic word. Morrow is it denotes morning. The good morrow means the good morning. So I am going to discuss the poem now. Let us see what is the poem. I hope you have the book in front of you. Just open the poem and follow my lecture. I wonder by my troth what thou and I. That means the speaker of the poem. The poem starts with a surprise tone, abruptly, suddenly. I wonder by my troth. Troth means truth. Troth means truth. The poet, the speaker of the poem, told that he is surprised when he knows the truth. He is surprised when he knows the truth. What is the truth? The truth is that what thou and I. That means before the consciousness, when he knows the truth, before it, what they were, the speaker and his beloved, what they were. He asked himself, what they were. Till we loved, that means this is the consciousness or awareness of their love affair. That means the speaker of the poem can understand that he is in love with his beloved. He is in love with his beloved. But with surprise, he wants to ask himself what they were before the consciousness, before the awareness. He just ask himself, were we not went till then? Went means sucking the mother's breast. Sucking the mother's breast. That means he compares themselves with a baby, with a baby, breastfeeding baby. That means this kind of comparison, comparing to adult person with a breastfeeding baby is an example of conceit, metaphysical conceit. Were we not went till then? That means before the consciousness or awareness of their love affairs, were they a breastfeeding children? Were they breastfeeding children? But sucked on country pleasures childishly. Another comparison, like a child. A child does not know everything about the nature, but he only enjoy the beauty of the nature. The unknowingly they just enjoy the beauty of the nature. So like a child, these two lovers were innocent. Like the child or like the children, these two lovers were innocent before the awareness of their love affairs. Or snorted we in the seven sleepers' den. Or snorted means making sound while in sleep. We in the seven sleepers' den. That means this is an biblical illusion. Biblical illusion, that means seven sleepers' den. This illusion is taken from Bible. We know seven brothers slept in a cave for 200 years. Slept in a cave for 200 years, and they are well known as seven sleepers. So the poet, the speaker of the poem and his beloved are compared with those seven sleepers who spent 200 years in a single sleep mode. So this is another comparison, this is another metaphysical concept. It was so, but these all pleasures fancies be. That means he tells us that the pleasures he has got when breastfeeding, the pleasures that he got like a child from the nature, the pleasure that he enjoyed, like the seven sleepers. Every pleasures have become useless to him when he has got the awareness of their love affairs. If ever any beauty I did see, he told us that in my life, whatever beauty I may see, I may watch, which I desired and got, every, in comparison with the beauty of his beloved, every beauty has become useless. That means, which I desired and got, it was but a dream of thee. That means he tells us that his beloved is his desired things. His beloved is more beautiful than any other object of nature, more enjoyable than any other enjoying that he experienced in his life before their love affairs, before the consciousness of their love affairs. In the first stanza, the poem begins with a surprise tone. The poem begins with a surprise tone. And the poet uses here some metaphysical characteristics such as abrupt beginning, metaphysical concepts, etc. In the first stanza, the poet, what the poet tells us. If I paraphrase the first stanza, what we get? I swear I am surprised what you and I did before we fall in love with each other. Perhaps we were then so little kids that we used to suck our mother's breast. Perhaps we were very small children and passed times in rustic pleasures. Or perhaps we slept very deeply like the seven brothers who passed 200 years in deep sleeps. Perhaps we were so before we fall in love. However, in comparison to the pleasure of our present love, all the past pleasures were fancies. Because if ever I had dreamed any beautiful omen, it was only you. The first stanza, in the first stanza, the poet or the speaker of the poem tells us that before the consciousness or the awareness of their love affairs, he was like a child. He was, or they were like children, breastfeeding children, or children who takes only pleasures in natural sights and scenes unknowingly. They don't understand the very significant significance of the natural objects, but they only love them. But when they could understand that they love each other, when they could understand that they love each other, according to the speaker of the poem, this pleasure surpassed every pleasure of his life. This pleasure surpassed every pleasure of his life. So, my dear students, I hope you will study the poem again and again. That means you have to read the poem with Bangla meaning. Read the poem with Bangla meaning. You have to know the meaning of the unknowing words. Meaning of the unknowing words. You have to find out the metaphysical characteristics used in the first stanza. The metaphysical characteristics used in the first stanza, and you have already understood that the poem deals with love, and love is a metaphysical subject matter which does not have any physical existence. My dear students, I shall discuss the rest of the poem in the next class. I hope you will study this poem at home. Read the first stanza very minutely with the Bangla meaning, and if you have any question, just ask me in my messenger or email. I will give you the answer. So, goodbye today. Be happy and keep happy.